Well, welcome everyone to another edition of Taking Stock Live. It's really an opportunity for all of us to learn from some of the brightest minds out there in the retail and consumer goods industry. And we do just that. We take stock. And there's a lot to take stock of these days, especially now, as many of you and our customers are facing some of the biggest weeks and the biggest months of the year. Today, we have someone who I had an opportunity to speak with for NRF, Tom Ripley, who is the CEO and chairman of Lids. Many of you will know Lids. I am currently sporting. I've got some sweatshirts too. And Lids owns over 1,100 stores. They've got in North America. They've got 8,000 employees. And really bucking the trend of many retailers in the last 18 months, Lids has opened or added an additional 150 stores and will cross 250 stores by the end of this calendar year. And if you dig into Tom's background, you'll see that he's always been an innovator, a pioneer, and had a really interesting background. So Tom, welcome to Taking Stock Live.
Thank you. Good to be here, Shelley.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm taking off my hat, but tell us about your first job. Where did it all start?
Gosh, my first job, my first official paycheck was a dishwasher. I was 15. It was a lesson in optimization. You got to keep the dishwasher running at all times. That way, you plow through that project, and hard work. Look, it's dishwasher jobs are easy to find, but not a lot of people want them. And the truth is, it was a great experience, and I loved it and learned from it.
It's interesting, actually, a lot of the people who I'm talking to, whether it's, flipping burgers or dishwashing, I wonder, we should do some study. I wonder, just all of us who sort of started, my first job was folding sweaters. It started in retail. There is something about being there and the grit it takes that I think helps you as you move along. Obviously, a lot's changed for you since those days washing dishes. You spent time in the military, on Wall Street, as I understand it, and now with Lids. Maybe let's just start with what are some of the big lessons you learned?
Yeah, so the lessons for me, the biggest, my first formative experience was in Marine Corps, and that experience is one about being very honest and accurate with your words and being very direct, facing problems head on, giving people the truth as difficult and blunt as it may be. That has really served me well professionally. And we apply those things every day in Lids. At Lids, it's the retail landscape is a challenging one. It's one where there's constant negative news out. If you pay attention to that stuff, there's constant negative news about traffic and closures. We are honest about those things at Lids, but we're also, I think, very encouraged by what we see in our business and really, don't make decisions out of fear. We're very positive and very aggressive kind of in the marketplace.
It's amazing. I was reading, you tell me, I'm sure it's accurate, that actually when COVID hit, did you call like 1,000 district managers to create just transparency on what was going on? So
when we closed during COVID, we went from 8,000 to 7. We furloughed everybody in the company but 7 people. And then the 7 of us divided up every store manager and district manager. It's about almost 1,500 people total, called every single one of them over the course of the next month and a half. We didn't have a lot else to do. Unfortunately, the government had closed every mall in America. And so for 6 weeks, my partner Lawrence and I and the leadership team called every single store manager and just told them, here's our plan. Here's what we're trying to do. We don't know if we're going to be successful, but this is what we're going to do. And as it turns out, we were very successful coming out of COVID. We came out a leaner, more focused company. We reevaluated, frankly, everything in our business. All of our decisions, our processes, our meeting cadence, everything went under evaluation. And we came out a much healthier, much more successful, frankly, much more vibrant company, high energy company coming out of that experience.
I mean, that's amazing to take something that sort of, catastrophic in some ways to close and lose so many people, but come back stronger. I can't even imagine what some of those conversations with
Well, I'll give you a great analogy. My partner's wife went through cancer. And I think when you go through an experience like that, what she shared with me is you reevaluate everything. Everything that you're doing, you reevaluate. We took that approach with COVID. We took an approach of, okay, everything is on the table. And I'll give you a great and very poignant example we spoke about during our last conversation. We have completely transformed our store experience and replaced all of our points of sale. We're probably north of 3,000 mobile MPOS devices running Microsoft MPOS on those handheld devices. We took the cash register out of every single store. Did this during COVID, right? Took the cash register out of every single store and have replaced it with handheld devices. Again, you don't get there. You don't get to that place if you don't reevaluate everything and kind of ground up, review.
I mean, some might have thought you were crazy, honestly, to do something like that.
Some on my team thought I was crazy.
How do you think, actually going back to whether it was the Marines or Wall Street, how do you think some of that prepared you for those decisions?
Well, look, the Marine Corps, all successful organizations force you to focus on the mission at hand. Your people and your team are essential. In the Marine Corps, we say mission first, Marines always. And that mindset is exactly the way we operate in Lids. I care deeply about my teammates. My teammates know that I care deeply about them. I'll do anything for them, but we are all here to serve the greater mission of Lids, which in our case is our customers. And so we're very, very focused on that as our kind of North Star. What is the project? How do we do that? The result is we have some of the highest pay rates of any mall-based employer in the country. We have a wonderful benefits plan. We have an incredible retention of our associates. Again, because we're focused on delivering a great experience for them, but also a great experience for our customer. And those are not mutually exclusive things. Those are conjoined things. And because of that, we have, I think, that Marine Corps lesson of focus on the mission. Don't let the distractions and your fears kind of obsess your thinking. We're pretty clean on that. We do a really nice job of that.
Wow. And I can just, the focus, but then the follow through, that you're talking about, like you put your money where your mouth is. When I see so many retailers sort of cutting back on, what they're going to deliver to their associates, even in the face of the labor shortages we're all facing, hearing the retention rates and the investment there, because they're the brand ambassadors, right?
Yes. We've learned two incredible lessons on that front. One is a customer, Amazon has taught everybody, every single customer on the planet that you can have it overnight on your doorstep, whatever you want. So people don't come in my store for convenience. They come in my stores for experience. And the very first touchstone of that experience are our associates. If our associates are upbeat, excited, sports fanatics, hat fanatics, if they don't have that kind of personality, then your experience right out of the gate is not an A-level experience. We have to have the selection and the merchandising and the signage and all those things. But if that associate's not on point, you're going to really struggle to earn that customer's loyalty. And so we invest a lot in our associates. We have to. Those guys are our front line. And when we go back to the COVID comment, during those incredible first 4 or 6 months with those associates, they're on the front lines. And we know very little about the pandemic at this point. And they're choosing to go into work every day, meet customers, engage with them. I tell this story often. It's one of my favorites. I had 2 associates try to convince me on a phone call that they could, I don't want to use the word break into, but find a way to gain access to a mall in Dallas because they wanted to make sure their store was open and ready when the mall reopened. And I had to convince them, like, guys, listen, we can't be getting into malls inappropriately. We'll wait until they open the front gates. We'll be ready. But that's that zeal and that eagerness to support our company and be our brand ambassadors. That's not an accident. That's a behavior that's earned with our relationship with them and trained and coached.
Wow. I mean, and to your point, like you can have the best signage in the world and all the inventory selection, but we know it's like going to a restaurant where somebody's actually like the waiter or waitress cares about your experience. That's where you go back. And I love what you said about Amazon and really seeing clearly why people come to Lids.
We've seen several point lift in conversion, which is an incredible statement when you think about it. We've seen multiple point lift in conversion with our handheld devices. That's partly because of, go back to our first comment, that engagement and that experience with our associate who walks up to you, he has everything. We actually carry our MPOS devices on like a sling across your chest. And so they walk up, they can engage you personally. They can walk you around the store. They have everything there to check you out with your credit card. They can do all of that experience and never have to be distracted or pulled away from the customer, right? And so going mobile in our stores has been it's been a very powerful, aspect of that engagement.
Wow. Because then you really do, to your point, empower the associate to deliver the full experience versus giving great service and then sending them to go wait in a line at a cash register.
Right.
And then, but you're actually tracking it and see improvements in conversion.
We track conversion every store, every day. We have the other thing that's happened though is our average store is 750 square feet. That's pretty small.
Yeah.
You dedicate 50 square feet to a cash wrap, a cash register, a point of sale cash. That's a lot of space. And when you put that cash register in that kind of grocery store like counter there, the associate's compelled to stand behind it. And that's the worst place for them to stand. We don't want them there. So we've gone to this cube. It's a 2x2 square, and it's got a place for a display on top, but it has no cash register. The cash register is on the associate's hip, and it's created just kind of a more energetic, more vibrant experience. And we do it in our small stores. We do it in our MBA store. We just opened up in the MBA store on Fifth Avenue. It's an MPOS store. It's the MBA's global flagship, and it's a all MPOS store, and it's been a really, that's a 3-story building on Fifth Avenue. You really need to have a very mobile associate, and so it's been a very powerful, and frankly, we've seen the conversion, just justifying itself in the bottom line.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be in New York for NRF. I don't know if you're going, but I'd love to walk around and see it with you.
You should, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We just opened the MBA store in London, and that store is an all MPOS store as well. That's a 2,500 square foot store. It's going to be that's the first MBA flagship overseas. It's already outpacing all of our expectations.
Wow. In March. Congratulations. So you clearly have been incredibly busy and going to cross 250 stores. You talked about the MPOS in Manhattan and London. Tell us about some of the more exciting things that you're seeing out there. Because as you said, there is a lot of pain, but there's these great stories.
Yeah, so the two biggest changes that we're seeing out in the stores is we're starting to see traffic kind of recover. We've been playing catch up, like frankly, everybody out there for inventory. The supply chain's been a challenge. The good part about Lids is we're such a big part of we're frankly an entire category. We own the headwear category. We sell more hats than anybody. Because of that, we have a bigger inventory reservoir. So those shortages from the supply chain, we're able to absorb those with frankly our inventory base. And we're starting to, just in the past 2 weeks, starting to see a little bit of a relief on the inventory side, which has been exciting. We're starting to dwindle down those reserves. It's something we watch, frankly, daily. And so we're just starting to see a little bit of an acceleration in shipments from vendors, which has been, it's been a big relief for us.
I'm curious, just because I like to hear that there's some relief coming. What's driving, do you think, taking a little bit of the pressure off?
Well, we've been very far in front on the order curve. So we started ramping our orders up back in this time last year, in October of last year, really, and in anticipation of some type of shock. And because we were out in front of it, we were able to kind of get in the front of it from a queue perspective. both with other people ordering the same stuff and for our orders going in entire shipping containers and getting those moved to the front of the line. We've been a little a little bit of anticipation there. And then I think the freedom that's happening recently is I do think there's been a little bit of movement, frankly, on the at the ports. It feels like either through alternate ports, which have happened quite a bit. We've seen goods rerouted to the East Coast of the United States. We've seen stuff move to Miami and to Baltimore and that sort of thing, which has been a big positive for us. Just relying on those West Coast ports has been a challenge. And so we feel like there's a little bit of a kind of breaking free there a little bit.
Wow. I mean, I can't relatively amount of time you're spending on supply chain and inventory movement sort of last, I don't know, 6 months versus prior. How would you characterize it?
We spend an incredible amount of time. We spend all of our time right now on really two things. So from a retailer's perspective, the holiday is baked. I mean, whatever you have now, you have. You're not going to get more. And so we are spending all of our time on logistics, big picture logistics. So, sea freight, air freight, getting things in. We have a big launch coming in February this year. It could be the most exciting launch that, in coordination with Black History Month, it could be the most exciting thing that I've been a part of in retail. I truly cannot wait for this to hit the streets, but we're going to have to air freight those goods in because we won't get them here in February, and it's hard to have a launch when you don't have the product. And so we spent a lot of time on the macro logistics pieces. And then down to our distribution center, we received 50 million items last month in our distribution center in the month of October, and that's a record month for us. And so it's the micro pieces. And the second thing I spend all my time on is labor. It's just to be brutally honest about it, I'm competing with the government on manpower, and when they extend unemployment benefits, it makes it very difficult, particularly in places like my distribution center and in my stores. And so it's been a real challenge. We've gotten incredibly creative. We're using lots of alternative ways. We're using not just LinkedIn, but TikTok, Instagram, social media to try to go out and attract and reach those new labor markets, because we're trying, it's been very challenging. The labor piece has been the second big lift for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sort of it's a triple whammy, right? As another retail CEO said to me, like, we've got the sugar high of the consumer spending, but then the diet of the inventory and the labor, and it's really it's so challenging. I mean, my son's the bus driver won't work anymore because, and then it's like a little small piece of it, but it's really affecting all of us.
It's affecting all of us, and I'm going to steal that analogy because it's a great one. We're really struggling with trying to find that balance, and it's something we work on. It's a daily topic for us.
Yeah, I mean, the number of CEOs that are like getting into Excel spreadsheets, moving freight around, and
right,
it's unbelievable.
And you spend no time on things like product development or bigger new. We're going to enter 9 new countries this year. I need to be focused on those things, but I can't focus on those things because I've got to make sure that I've got store staff and 160 people in my distribution center, and so those are all real challenges. And so they're problems like today problems, and so those are where we're spending our time.
Wow. Well, it sounds like the investments that you've made, in forward inventory and in your people, while I'm sure it keeps you up at night, has paid dividends for you as well.
For sure it has.
So there's a lot here, but what would you say some of your biggest, I don't know, top 2 or 3 lessons have been in running this business in 2021?
Well, I think anytime that you can simplify things in chaotic environments, and this is true for just about anything, but anytime you can simplify stuff, it really pays off dividends. There are waterfall effects that happen when you simplify things. So simplifying our point of sale. I think when we last spoke for NRF, I used the analogy, our points of sale for London, we put in a box a little larger than a shoebox, and mailed them. And that's it. And when they pulled them out, they turned them on, they connected them to the Wi-Fi network, and we were ready to go. We were able to load the MIDs and the credit card information, the MIDs and TIDs, on the devices in Indianapolis and ship them to London and open them up. And we're like, there are so many aspects of simplification there that you don't have to do because we have a really tight single package point of sale. That's really, really important. That same device, by the way, is how associates now clock in and out. When we went to that device, we got rid of these 8.5 by 11. I'll give you a great analogy. You get rid of these 8.5 by 11 laser printers. We had 1,200 laser printers in our company. Imagine the logistics trail on ink cartridges, paper. I got to get that stuff to stores. All of that goes away now because I use my point of sale and a thermal printer, and it's all been simplified. And frankly, customers really prefer to have the receipt emailed to them because then they can exchange, and it makes it all much easier process. You never lose an electronic receipt. And so it's those simplifications have had waterfall effects in our organization. I no longer buy, toner cartridges for a couple thousand printers. That's a big savings for us. It's on an annualized basis, it's a 5-figure savings, which is allows me to have better benefits packages in my stores and better health benefits for associates and all of those kinds of things.
I mean, what I hear from you, in addition to investing and simplifying, to your point, is actually just this grit, which I love. Like whether it's your associates in your Texas store or shipping point of sale, you don't get over your skis in terms of complicating things. Sounds like you and your team just get in there and get stuff done.
So my partner Lawrence is wonderful at this, and his mind says we will test anything. We'll try anything. We'll test anything. Part of what comes with that is that we are. It's retail is not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy. There are easier days in the Marine Corps, to be honest. I mean, it is a challenging environment. The average mall is nothing more than a job fair. If you don't like your job, walk across the hall and interview at the store right across the hall. And so it is a challenging environment. In order to be successful, we have to be scrappy. We need to be tough. We need to be resilient, and we need to be ready to try new things and different things. That's been the path for success for Lids. That's going to continue to be our recipe for success.
Gosh, I mean, I have a big review with Microsoft leadership next Friday, and I'm going to copy I'm going to take that from you. The average mall is nothing more than a job fair, because you're absolutely right. And I think it grounds you in the reality of what you're facing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned February, Black History Month, and a big event. Take us forward to 2022, some of the things that are on the horizon and that you're excited about.
Yeah, so we have a couple of just incredible product launches that'll happen in the month of February. We have a new site that's coming online called Lids Hat Drop. It'll be a new custom hat that'll be a limited hat edition hat that'll hit every week, a new one every single week, basically for the full year. We'll open 100 stores internationally and next year, starting with probably 20 stores in the England market, London, Greater London market, Germany, Madrid, Tel Aviv, Sydney, Melbourne. So it's going to be Mexico City. It's going to be a busy year. We'll continue to grow. We're at 1,200 stores today, and we'll probably be 1,500 stores sometime next year. We'll also open another 100 stores in the U.S., kind of near venue stores is what we're calling them. So a good example is our Chicago Cubs store just outside of Wrigley. We think there's about $30 million of Cubs merchandise sold within about 6 blocks of the Cubs Stadium, Wrigleyville. And so we opened a store there April this past year, just outside the ballpark. We think that there's probably another 100 stores like that around the U.S. Maybe we did the same thing right outside of Ohio State, Buckeye We call it the Buckeye Corner. There are both college and professional league near venue stores. We'll open probably set up about 100 of them over the next year. And then, Lids did a joint venture with Barnes & Noble that's called Fanatics Lids College. It's been a very successful business. It's 780 college bookstores where we provide the merchandise in those stores. I think that we'll see more of those types of joint ventures where we provide the retail merchandise solution for a lot of different partners.
I hope you're rest
just a little bit, right? And we might sleep a little bit in 2022 as well.
But and you're really all channels, whether it's online, as you said, stores, and global expansion, as well as new partnerships and ecosystems. That is,
I mean, we a lot of people don't realize though, there's a lot of places that are lids that you don't know. So, for example, the NHL store in Manhattan, their flagship store is a lid store. The NBA store we talked about earlier in Manhattan, in London, are both lid stores. They say NBA store, the bags say NBA store, but they're Lids Associates front to back. And so, there'll be we're rapidly becoming the retailer of choice for professional sports, regardless of team, regardless of venue. And so we are finding ourselves fielding lots of calls that, hey, will you run our retail operation? And it makes a lot of sense. In the NHL store, as an example, they have one store. I had 50 stores in Manhattan. So I don't need another manager, regional manager, to run the NHL store. That store just falls under the current regional manager I have. And so, or loss prevention, or technical team, or embroidery and customization team. All of those people are already organic to my team. So adding another store is just incremental for me. And frankly, we do a better job than they do. And so it's why the NHL, the NBA, and the Dodgers and the Yankees and so on all partner with us, because they know that we know what we're doing. And we've got the ground game. We've got a big team on the ground to do it.
In a way, as you're talking, it reminds me, it's like you're a platform company, with sort of these capabilities, whether it's loss prevention or store management. And if you can offer that to partners, well, it obscures all that complexity. And that stuff is hard.
Exactly. Look, we take no better lesson of that than Fanatics and what they've done. Fanatics is a platform company. They run NFL.com, NBA.com, NHL.com. They run the Fanatics experience. They run Lids.com. And so they run all these different stores. And because of on their e-commerce environment, ecosystem, we're the same thing in brick and mortar. We run a bunch of different experiences. Paris Saint-Germain, we took that store over in London and run that store for them. In LA, we'll open another one in Miami. We're working on partnering with them to run their France experience on the Champs-Elysees. And so, again, we're a platform company. We have all the tools to run that platform. And because of that, we're having partners kind of run at us to help us to partner with us to do it.
Wow. I mean, it's so inspiring. I know for me personally, as well as just, on the Microsoft side, it's such a privilege to partner with you and to learn with you and see the technology. I try in these conversations not to talk too much about technology, but you brought it forward as just a way to make your company, better, smarter, more customer oriented. And it's just like, it's a reminder on why we do what we do. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me give you one soundbite on that, because I say this often to my team. A partner shows their value to you, not when it's sunny and 70 degrees outside. It's when the proverbial it is hitting the fan. That's when a partner shows you who they really are and what they're made of. We had a challenging issue when we started to roll out the MPOS system. We started to see an issue with our customer loyalty program syncing up with that database. And we had a real challenge, and we pulled in the biggest horsepower, players we could from Microsoft and solved that problem in a matter of weeks. And it was one of the more impressive experiences I've been a part of. Your team brought all of their kind of subject matter experts to the table, and we were able to solve that problem quickly. And while we continued, we didn't stop rolling stuff out. We kind of did it while running, while at a full sprint, doing live transactions, rolling out more stores, and we're able to fix that kind of all at the same time. And so to me, that's why you pick a partner. That to me is the measure of a great partner, is when when you have challenging days, and you always will, those partners really show their mettle on those days. And it's been a great experience, not without its issues, not without its hiccups, but one that has been very rewarding, and frankly, my team's better for it.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. I will say on the receiving end, I actually, though I hate it when things go wrong, as you said, they always will. And I actually love working through, as an old boss said to me, work the problem, just work the problem. And when teams call me when things go bump in the night, getting in there and just working it together, is actually crazily where I get a lot of joy, because then you can actually feel like when you fix it, something else will come up, and at least you've worked it and then brought your best.
For sure. Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you letting me get you twice this year, given everything that you have on your plate. I learned a lot. I'm inspired, and I can't wait to get out and come see some of these experiences in your new stores. So huge thank you to you, Tom.
Thank you. Always my pleasure to do this. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you. And for all of you out there tuning in, I know you have enjoyed this as much as I did. Go to a Lid store and go online. We're happy to put the URL in this just an incredible retailer, incredible team, and amazing products that I personally love. So thanks for tuning in. We always love to get your feedback on what you wanted to hear more of. And for all of you out there, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.